So Doctor Who received a visitor. So the story was called The Visitation, and involves an alien falling out of the sky hundreds of years ago, and leading to a historical event, which is one of the best ways of dealing with a time traveler encountering actual history. In my humble opinion, because when they actually meet and team up with historical figures and stuff, it just always comes across as rather silly. And in light of recent versions of Doctor Who, you end up kind of disrespecting the historical figure in the sense that, hey, the Doctor did it all, you know. So here we have, again, the Doctor is still trying to get Tegan back home. He will never succeed. Spoiler. They're still on track from all the way back to Legopolis, you know, trying to get this poor woman home. So he lands in Heathrow, but he's a couple of hundred years early. Meanwhile, of course, yes, this alien has arrived, and the local... local, I mean, this rather large house is under assault. You actually meet the household, the characters there and all that. They're all wiped out, so don't get too attached. So basically, you've got a little invasion here, albeit accidentally. So, long story short, we meet this reptilian guy he's got a couple other friends hanging out in London. And they've got a plot to release plague on mankind, but not your typical usual plague. This one will wipe out the entire human race so that they can have the planet for themselves. And, I guess the three of them are going to get busy with each other and repopulate. In the meantime, he's got this android who looks like it was an android that was probably part of a carnival act or something based on the coloring of his suit. I think they probably should have just done away with all the coloring and just left him rather, black and gray and drab or something, But, well, I guess it's the one they had, and they outfitted him with some deadly ray beams, And he goes around and dresses up like the Grim Reaper, which is in keeping with some of the myths of the days of outbreaks of plague and whatnot. Is that some people said they literally had visions of the Grim Reaper walking around and spreading the deadly air of the plague. So anyway, that's the situation. So the Doctor just stumbles into this and goes around sticking his nose, finding out what's going on, and of course gets captured and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, he sends Nyssa back to the TARDIS because he realizes that a certain sonic disruptor could help undo what the aliens are doing. So they've got devices that take over some of the people and turn them into basic zombies that are mind controlled and whatnot. Unfortunately, Tegan falls to this. They meet a colorful character who, in a lot of ways, it's kind of, obviously the TARDIS crew was already too crowded, but it sounds like the type of guy who would have wanted to join the TARDIS, but he just bails out at it. So ultimately, the Doctor offers to actually help the lizards and saying, look, I've got my own ship because their ship was destroyed. They landed in an escape pod, which is really fancy looking, actually. They did a really good job on that. And it's all bright and shiny. It must have been a brand new ship, but it got damaged in an asteroid storm that they, clumsily slammed into, I guess. But anyway, the Doctor says, hey, I can get you all home. It's no problem. And the guy turns around and shows that his face is badly scarred, which was actually a good idea on the part of the because the costuming sometimes it's really bad and sometimes it's really good on Doctor Who, actually, and some of those characters they do, especially like reptilian characters and stuff. But this one, boy, he looks more like a sports mascot or something. And you have to assume there's a cape, looks like, and he's wearing a shirt and pants, that it looks like it's part of his body, But who's to say that they just didn't? They designed their clothes to look like that. So the scaly stuff and everything. That's just a fashion bit for their people, you know. And with the only parts that we actually see is his head and perhaps his hands, you know. So that's the only way to go at it. But yeah, you know, they make some things like there's some movement in the mask and stuff, like, you know, and stuff like that. But anyway, he's scarred, and he says, I can't go back home because he's actually a fugitive from prison, and so he can't go back there because he's a wanted criminal. Well, you know, prison's a nasty place, and we won't go into the nasty details of what exactly happened to him, but so he's hell-bent on wiping out mankind and taking over the earth. And so now the doctor is, well, okay, you had your shot, and so he's got to fight him and all that. One of the more significant elements of it was that this was supposed to be the end of the sonic screwdriver. So the doctor, the creature, destroys it, and this was on orders of John Nathan Turner, who felt that the sonic screwdriver was too much of an easy out for the doctor, and that it was becoming a magic wand. Well, if only he knew. Because actually, the sonic screwdriver was that's exactly what it was. You know, it could open doors by using sonic waves to unscrew, screws and bolts and whatnot. That sort of thing or you could pick a lock with it. It was not the magic wand that it is today, where it can apparently do just about anything. I mean, I don't even know why the doctor has a TARDIS anymore. Just use the sonic screwdriver. Plus, there's also the problem if he could destroy it, but he could get another one, and he did. You know, and of course, over the new series is that apparently they think they have to have a different one for each doctor and all that. It's become what Nathan Turner was worried about, you know, and he was right about it as it is now. He wasn't really right about it at the time. There's ways around that, and he got rid of. That's why he said, no, I got rid of K9 too, because K9 really was something that, you know, they'd have to come up. Well, he's damaged, or he can't be here, he can't be there, that kind of thing, because K9 can pretty much get you out of a lot of different corners you've painted your way into. But I thought they handled it quite well. But, you know, eventually every companion leaves, so of course he wasn't going to be there forever. But it's one of those things where I guess they got tired of. We got to figure out a way for him not to be there, stuff like that. But the sonic screwdriver, I never saw that, at least in the classic era, as that big of a problem. But I guess they did. So that was that. That was supposed to be the death of the sonic screwdriver. Because of this nasty lizard shot it. So of course the doctor wins. There's back and forth. There's some elements here for the overall story they're setting up here where there's tension between him and Adric is feeling like he's a bit useless and stupid, and of course he is. And a lot of this stuff, and he's complaining about it. Nissa's all far more serious than he is, and of course ultimately very capable here as she develops the device by which the doctor overcomes them and all that. But so it's interesting that they're laying that groundwork for what ultimately becomes of Adric, and so that's the deal there. Once again, yes, poor Tegan gets taken over by a reptilian creature. And, of course, they're keeping the story going because ultimately they will revisit what happened to her with the Mara and all of that. So, it's cool little continuity nods here and there that keeps the overall narrative going. And so ultimately, yes, the doctor is victorious. The aliens have a chance, but he says even at the point where they end up being destroyed by their own devices, that's and they explodes and they're burning to death, and it's really a creepy scene as the chief Pterodactyl, they're called, is just melting in the fire, and he's like, it's pretty bad, isn't it? So it's like, oh, shouldn't we try to save him? The doctor's like, no, I can't. And so that's that. And then, of course, later Tegan says, "Oh, it's a blazing fire. Shouldn't we put it out?" And the doctor says, "No, I think we need to let it go." And of course, this becomes the Great Fire of London. So it's, oh well, it was really about aliens and whatnot. But there you go. Obviously the source of plague had been fleas on rodents, and this was at the foot of the plot of what the Terraliptians were going to do. Well, it all went up in smoke, so we were just stuck with your basic plague. But wiping out your population of mice and fleas goes a long way in preventing the spread. So how about that? So it's a good episode. It's not bad. It's got some cool little things here and there. I kind of wish they might have had a better suit for the lizard guys, but good enough for what it is. And again, boy, good props on the escape pod that they landed in, stuff like that. So good episode. Good episode for the Fifth Doctor, who even to this day remains to me as the new Doctor, because that was the first time I'd seen a new Doctor after all those Tom Baker episodes. So Peter Davison is always the new Doctor to me. Well, anyway, there you go. The Visitation, a good classic Doctor Who romp. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.